Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another video. As you know, we've been talking a lot about Star Wars Ahsoka, which is coming up very soon, but today we're going to take a bit of a break, talk about some different aspects of the Star Wars universe. I know you're going to absolutely love this one. And the main story is regarding the Acolyte. When this very interesting story came out a few days ago, I was a bit skeptical. I didn't want to cover it too soon. It was from an unreliable source, but now there seems to be more evidence that it could in fact be true. Before we get into it though, my dear friends, please be sure to hit that big red subscribe button if you've not done so, hit the bell for notifications, share this video, but no more jibber jabber, let's get straight into it. A brand new article by Forbes may have just revealed the biggest cameo in The Acolyte, the upcoming High Republic show by Leslye Headland. In a brand new piece revealing that Disney spent $49 million on pre-production on the show, Forbes embedded a massive tidbit that Keanu Reeves did in fact film some scenes. While this so-called reveal is probably best characterized as simply a rumor, it could be true. If it's true, it's one of the biggest names coming to the galaxy far, far away, and it's worth bearing in mind we've been talking about Keanu Reeves in Star Wars for a number of years. There has been fan art depicting him as Revan, and speculation and rumors have been rife for a long time. And it's also worth bearing in mind that if Reeves does appear in this series, it means that he's going to reunite with his Matrix co-star Carrie-Anne Moss, and there are endless possibilities as to who he might play. The Acolyte is the first live-action High Republic show, and with the Jedi during their golden age at their peak, it's very possible he's going to play a Jedi Master, although this series has been described as being from the point of view of the dark side, implying that Reeves could be a Sith. My prediction is that he's going to play a new character altogether, although bear in mind, there was a rumor in 2022 stating we're going to see some old Sith from the Old Republic in holocron form, so that's a possibility he is still Revan, but not in the modern timeline. In either case, Keanu Reeves in Star Wars is certainly exciting indeed, and something they're keeping very close to the chest, keeping tightly under wraps, because he's not in the trailer shown at Star Wars Celebration. Share your thoughts on this in the comments down below. Do you want to see him come into the Star Wars universe? And do you think this rumor could be true? If so, what kind of character is he going to play? Now, going back to something I mentioned very briefly earlier, $49 million for a pre-production budget is enormous. Some news sites and outlets are mistaking this for the budget of the show, but it's not. It's just on pre-production. I know based on the trailer this show does look visually spectacular, and with the current strikes, and with Bob Iger promising to tighten things after this might be one of the last Star Wars shows with such a high budget. This is a staggering $5.5 million more than Disney spent on pre-production for Rogue One back in 2016. The Andor show spent 38% more in pre-production, but a lot of this went towards protocols due to the pandemic. So in other words, they had to adjust accordingly. But this is very good news for The Acolyte, and the fact we know so little about it makes it that much more exciting. But from here on out with future shows and Star Wars movies, there are going to be a lot of budget cuts. And so now, my dear friends, the other day at San Diego Comic-Con, Lucasfilm unveiled a brand new book, a reference book called Star Wars Dawn of the Rebellion. It's the one with Cassian and Obi-Wan Kenobi on the front. I covered this in a previous video, but now, in a preview, they reveal the identities and some of the backstories of the Jedi in the tanks, in the Jedi tombs, on Fortress Inquisitorius in the Kenobi show. From the perspective of the Jedi, that was one of the most shocking moments of the series. The book reveals that the youngling that we saw was called Faris, and he still wears the training helmet he had on the night of Order 66, very dark. He had such a shocked facial expression. Next, of course, we have one we know, Terrace Nube, the Kosian Jedi Master from the Clone Wars and Tales of the Jedi. He had notable interactions with Count Dooku and Ahsoka in the past. And the third one they talk about, and by far the most interesting, is Valerie Tide. According to the book, she tried to hide her identity after the Great Jedi Purge, but she was unsuccessful and later was captured on the planet Artheo 3. So this is what's really baffling to me. They've given this Jedi a backstory, but, and take this with a big grain of salt, before the Andor show, there were plans to bring her into that series to connect the two shows. I was told she was a Force sensitive from Aldhani, and you can see the resemblance in the clothes she wears. There was going to be a Jedi connection there. In a way, I'm glad they didn't, because we didn't need that distracting from the plot, and the episodes that take place on Aldhani were amazing. I really loved them. And even this guy who we know nothing about, he looks like he fit into Aldhani as well. What do you guys think? Hopefully this book contains a few goodies, and it's better than the last few reference books, which I have to say, have been hit or miss. Not every single one's been decent. And so now, my dear friends, Star Wars Outlaws. We covered some of the new reveals from SDCC the other day, but now in a behind the scenes video, we get a bit of insight from the creators of what they were going for, why they're exploring this time period, and what we can expect. Well, the big headline making the rounds on social media is that Tatooine is going to be fully explorable. The whole planet, Mos Pelgo, Mos Eisley, Mos Espa, the Dune Sea, the Jundland Wastes, you name it, they're going to be in the game. And there is a bit of division in opinion on this, because some fans say, this is a great thing, Tatooine is fundamentally the heart of Star Wars, one of the original planets, but others say, we've been there so many times, in Kenobi and Mando, Book of Boba Fett, it's time to explore some new worlds. And indeed it is, but we are going to some. There are going to be plenty in this game, but the creators also answered a very pivotal question. Why are we exploring the time period between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi? Well, the answer is they never intended to. Lucasfilm, in a big initiative to do more with this time period, as we've seen in the comics, are the ones who asked them to do so. They told Ubisoft and Massive, this is when you've got to set it, between episodes 5 and 6. As director Steve Blank explains, the galactic civil war hit its peak during a rough time of the galaxy. The Empire devoted so many resources to hunting down the remnants of the rebels that few people were left to fill any other duties. And that included law enforcement, so the power vacuum at the local level gave outlaws a chance to thrive. And that's where you, the player, come in this game. As a burgeoning scoundrel herself, Kay is looking to seize that opportunity to make a name for herself. If all the rebels and stormtroopers are off doing their own thing, why would Kay ever want to mess with any of that? Getting involved would only paint an extra target on her back. One of the only other pieces of major Star Wars legacy media to explore the same time period was the 1996 video game Shadows of the Empire, but it's no longer canon. As I said though, now the Disney comics are doing it with War of the Bounty Hunters, Crimson Reign, and the Hidden Empire. And so finally, my dear friends, here's a fun fact. Did you know that before George Lucas decided to direct his own prequel trilogy, he asked Robert Zemeckis, Ron Howard and Steven Spielberg to direct them, and they all turned him down. It was just too daunting. Ron Howard says, quote, I don't think anyone wanted to follow up on that act at the time. It was an honor, but it would have been too daunting. I am so happy and appreciative that George directed those. They're not everyone's favorite cup of tea, but to me they'll always be peak Star Wars. I was a prequels kid. But share your thoughts on everything we spoke about in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you, always.